think it just put me in a place of comfort, but always still wanting to work and get better, because that's just the kind of mindset we had as a team, was never be satisfied with a good day. So just trying to stack good days on good days and make them great days.
Welcome to episode 355 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. First off, a big thanks to everyone for your patience and understanding as we didn't have a new episode drop last week. The original plan was that I was going to head to the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2025 induction weekend to chat with all the baseball people being honored. Then a sickness hit the house, which left us out of commission for a few days, so I'm admittedly playing a little bit of catch-up, getting the new inductees and their families for phone calls and Zoom chats. We will bring you that new episode when we have everyone, so stay tuned for that in the weeks ahead. On to this week's show, and we'll start in the news as always, where it's been kind of quiet. The MLB playoffs are underway, and obviously the entire country is captivated by the Toronto Blue Jays as they cemented their spot in the ALCS with Wednesday's win over the New York Yankees. They'll face the winners of the Detroit Tigers Seattle Mariners divisional series. As many Canadians in baseball say, when the Blue Jays are good, interest in the game north of the border is never stronger, so here's to a few more wins in the days ahead. A tip of the cap to Edmonton's Eric Sabrowski on an outstanding season with the Cleveland Guardians, which came to an abrupt end during the American League wildcard series against Detroit. The AHP product finished the year going 0-1 with a 1.84 ERA and 33 relief appearances, striking out 42 over 29-plus innings. His first two postseason appearances went very well, but he unfortunately got touched up for 2 runs on 2 hits in a third of an inning in the Game 3 loss to the Tigers. All in all, an outstanding season for the Alberta Southpaw. Over in the National League, Michael Soroka and his Chicago Cubs are still alive in their series with the Milwaukee Brewers. Soroka came back from injury September 15th and finished his regular season with a 1.08 ERA in 6 appearances for the Cubs, 5 out of the bullpen. He had a good first postseason appearance against San Diego October 1st, then got shellacked 3 days later against Milwaukee, allowing 3 runs on 5 hits and 2 walks in an inning of work as the Brewers won that game 9-3. The Brewers still lead that series 2-1 as we record this episode. One guy not on the Brewers' playoff roster, at least for now, has been Edmonton's Rob Zastryzny. He was outstanding during the regular season, though, going 2-1 with a 2.45 ERA in 26 games, striking out 20 in 22 innings of work. It'll be interesting to see if he gets the call if the Brewers head to the NLCS. To the minors now, and a big congratulations to Dogs Academy and Okotoks Dogs alum Tristan Peters, as the Durham Bulls star outfielder was rewarded with the Play of the Year. It came way back in April when he made an incredible grab against Jacksonville.
All year. And there's another ball hit high with some depth. Left center field on the chase is Peters. He's at the wall. Jumps up. Oh, did he? Did he? Did he? Oh, baby! Bringing it back. The glove over the wall, almost touching the platform. And a backhand highway robbery by Tristan Peters.
What a year it was for the Winkler, Manitoba native, including making his big league debut. The minor league season is all wrapped up now for the year, which opens the door for a couple of things. We'll be working on a Where Are They Now type story about all of Alberta and Saskatchewan's connections coming up in the weeks ahead, as well as we'll be aiming to catch up with a few of the players here on the pod, so don't forget to hit subscribe as we will have new shows for you for a few weeks to come. On the Baseball Canada front, congratulations to Edmonton's Claire Hingley and Cassie Matlock on being named to the Women's National Team Development Camp roster. They're heading to North Carolina for that camp next week. They'll be joined by a quartet from Saskatchewan, including Victoria Bateman, McKenna Dabrowski, Taylor Schweller, and Addie Ziebart. On the college commitment front this week, Vauxhall Academy product Noah Simpson is heading to Cloud County Community College. His teammate at Vauxhall, Aiden Sloan, goes to Yavapai College. Camrose native and Sherwood Park Dukes hurler Tavin Anderson is signed on with Pratt Community College. And after a couple of seasons at Pratt, Weyburn's Sutter Baylog has committed to Coastal Carolina University. And And a big congratulations to Vauxhall Academy pitcher and friend of the show, Callum Anderson, on being named Most Outstanding Pitcher at the Future Stars Underclass event held recently at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. On to this week's guests now, and the Western Canadian Baseball League is handing out its annual hardware with a series of announcements dating back to last week. That list includes Rookie of the Year Zane Scanzi of the Okotoks Dogs, Most Outstanding Pitcher Levi Abbott of the Lethbridge Bulls, Coach of the Year Joe Carnahan of the Saskatoon Berries, Most Outstanding Canadian Connor Crowson of the Dogs, Top Reliever Mickey McClaskey of the Sylvan Lake Gulls, and Most Valuable Player Ethan Menard of Saskatoon. We'll chat with Abbott, Crowson, and Menard in just a few minutes, but to look back on the year that was and some of the awards, let's first hear from my colleague in baseball, Mr. Ian Wilson. Good day, sir. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off with the big award of the last week or so. Obviously, Most Valuable Player, Ethan Menard of the Saskatoon Berries. Your thoughts on his selection?
I think he's a worthy winner, a worthy candidate. I think it was a pretty good field this year. But in looking at the voting, he did put distance between himself and a lot of the other candidates. Levi Abbott was the other guy who finished second. So I know when it comes to voters and things like that, it's kind of like the goalie winning the MVP in the NHL. Like there's different opinions about pitchers winning awards like that. And I don't want to get in all into the mindset of all the voters, but that may or may not have played into it. He like I said, Levi Abbott finished second and had a great year. I think Will Edwards was third. Of those three, I think I felt really bad for Will Edwards that he didn't end up picking up an award. He had such a strong season and was high on a lot of ballots in a lot of categories, but just couldn't break through. And that just speaks to the depth of talent in the Western Canadian Baseball League during these last few seasons. But Ethan, I don't think you could go wrong with him at all. And I think some of his biggest challengers came from his own team. That team was so stacked. It was almost like, how do you pick an MVP out of this bunch? And I believe it was Carter Beck who won team MVP. So, and Carter had another great year. Ethan Murdoch had a great year. Corey Waters had a great year. Matt Whitney on the mound was fantastic. That's what happens when you go 46-9 is you've got a ton of great players on your roster.
Mm-hmm. And for Ethan Menard, especially, what really stood out to me, and he was my number one vote for MVP. I'll be upfront about it. I had a vote at the table for the first time ever, and he was my selection just based on the fact of impact on the game and what he meant to that team. And you think about, he did all of what he did, hit 390 plus, he hit 12 dingers, he did everything and then some, and he only did it in, I think, 35 games or something like that. So instant impact the moment that he stepped onto that field. And man, I got to tell you, that week going into Canada Day where he hit 6 home runs in 3 games, that was just next level. And when you get 2 players of the week, I think during the course of the season as well, as you said, Ethan Menard, definitely a worthy candidate, and we will be hearing from Mr. Menard in just a few minutes here on the show. Let's switch over. You mentioned Levi Abbott. He doesn't go home empty-handed, although he almost could have won 3 different awards. He does come home with Pitcher of the Year. I thought he was a shoo-in because he was just about the Triple Crown winner. He was my pick for Pitcher of the Year. What made him stand out to you in your eyes, Ian?
Yeah, I think Levi, that was the category that was the most lopsided in the voting, was Levi Abbott winning Most Outstanding Pitcher. And I think well deserved. There were, Josh Tucker had a solid season, as did Weston Walls, but Levi Abbott was just on another level. And I think that showed through not only in him decisively winning that award, but like I said, he was second in MVP voting. He was also, I believe he was second in Most Outstanding Canadian voting as well. If not, he was really high up in the voting there. So Levi Abbott was lights out. He was phenomenal. And he just dominated the opposition the whole season. Like, I don't think you can look at any poor outings along the way and that just just doesn't happen.
You mentioned top Canadian. Let's go there. Connor Crowson of the Okotoks Dogs hits plus 400 on the season. Didn't have the power that we kind of half expected out of Connor Crowson this year. He only had 3 home runs, but he drove in 45 or 50. He was a threat on the base paths, and he was a consistent force on the defensive side of the ball in the infield for another vaunted Dogs roster. Tell me about what you thought about Connor Crowson's play, 1, and 2, how about the Canadian talent in general this year? Because they really stepped up to the plate, pun kind of intended, throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, well, in terms of the field, we'll start with that. And yeah, Carter Beck is kind of like William Edwards. You look at him and you're like, well, how didn't he pick up an award? He was phenomenal, and he really was. And he won that award last year. You had Levi Abbott in there, and Ethan Murdoch, and it was just a great field of Canadian talent, and just kind of illustrating the depth of the homegrown talent in the league. In terms of Connor specifically, it almost feels like a lifetime achievement award because he's just so consistent. He's just so good, and he just puts up batting average is a given. He's and on base. I believe he led the league in on base percentage. He's getting on base. He's going to get on base 1 out of every 2 at bats, pretty much, which is crazy. And then the other counting stats, they just kind of follow. He's going to score runs. He's going to pick up RBIs. He's going to steal the odd base for you, and he's going to play great defense along the way in a corner infield spot. This last year, usually at third base, if not the entire season. So, I'm happy for him. He's a stalwart in the league. He's just one of those guys you come to, you look in that Dog's infield and, he's going to be there, and, he's going to play well. And he's just been doing it for years now. And one thing I liked in interviewing him about that award was him just kind of talking about, he was happy to get the award, and that's great. But he's just focused on next year and I want another ring. I want a championship. So I just kind of love that it's that's nice to get the award, but it's championship. I want another championship. And which makes sense. The Dogs won 3 in a row, and then this is the first year in some time that we had a new champion.
It's really kind of typical of the Canadian team first mentality that Connor Crowson has shown off, and you're going to hear it in a conversation with Connor in just a few minutes about that very fact. They took that loss to Sylvan Lake hard, and he says in the conversation, man, we are going to be going for it this year. He called it a super team. He wants to bring a super team to Okotoks. They're doing all kinds of recruiting. So the fire has been lit, so to speak, for Connor Crowson and the Okotoks Dogs. Teammate Zane Scanzi, by the way, also named Rookie of the Year. And on the Sylvan Lake side of things, Mickey McClaskey named top reliever. One other award that I wanted to chat with you about, Ian, is top coach. Probably to the surprise of no one, Joe Carnahan of the Saskatoon Berries. What a year they had in the berry patch.
Yeah, I mean, it's I actually thought the voting would be a little more decisive with Joe Carnahan winning that award. He still won it fairly handily, Coach of the Year, and this is his 5th time winning it. The previous 4 were with Swift Current. So in year 2 with the Berries, what does he do? He sets a record for wins in a single season. They also set team record for runs, RBI, and I think one other offensive category. So, like I said, we were talking about the roster when we were talking about Ethan Menard. That was a deadly roster. That was just I feel bad for people on both sides of the ball having to face that squad this year. They lost back-to-back games once all summer, which is crazy to me. You just have these pockets of games where you're maybe not feeling it and not having it. And during the regular season, they did not experience a real downward trend at all. They didn't have a losing streak unless you count 2 a streak. So we could debate that. But no, Joe Carnahan was just pulling all the right levers and pushing all the right buttons. And when that team came out, we were doing our preseason predictions. I think all of us had Saskatoon either winning a championship or certainly at the top of the East Division standings at the end of the year. And not only, they not only got the top of the WCBL standings, but they blew that out of the water. They were just untouchable all regular season. So kudos to Joe and the coaching staff there. And in terms of some of the other guys who are in the running, Rai Pathakos was second, and Jason Chatwood, who's in his final year of as coach with the Gulls, he'll be back with the team, but not in the dugout. He was third. So probably some votes for him for sure for what he's done over the years, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. And I mean, the other piece to that with Jason Chatwood in particular, I mean, Rye's resume speaks for itself to a certain extent, and especially given that, hey, he finally got his chance to win a WCBL championship, probably earned him a few votes there, especially given that they had a bit of an issue mid-season where a few of the guys ended up leaving, and so they had to maneuver that and somehow managed to overcome that adversity. And in the case of Jason Chatwood, a lot of people tend to go back to June 8th when he took an errant foul ball in the nether regions and ended up in hospital for a while. And the Gulls were a 500 team. A lot of people tend to forget that heading into latter half of June, and everybody's going, what's going on with this team? They've lost as many games already than they did all last season. And they had some player meetings, they had some conversations with some of the veterans, they had some expectations set out, and they were one of the best teams post, I think it was June 25th. And so kudos to Joe, like you said, Joe Carnahan for what he did, not just from a on-field perspective, but from the recruitment perspective and getting that community galvanized as well around the Berries. And again, kudos as well to Rye and to Jason on getting some much deserved votes as well. Ian, you and I haven't had the chance to have this conversation yet, but the season is like 2 months removed now. We haven't had that debrief. We haven't had that conversation about like, hey, what's our favorite memories of the year? Looking back on the summer that was in the WCBL, what really stands out to you?
Yeah, it was a wild summer. There's a little more rain than we'd like to see. That's for sure. I think that the thing that I was stuck in my head after the season was actually just that game 2 of the championship final, and the Gulls being one strike away. I'm sorry, Sylvan Lake fans, you probably don't want to relive it, but I just couldn't get over being a witness to that almost. It was like, yeah, you're up by 2 runs, you're one strike away, you got the top relief pitcher of the year, Mickey McClaskey, dealing, and Regina just finds a way. And even the hit, that I think it was Samard, I'm drawing a blank there, but the hit, it was an infield hit, and Jaden Flores gets to it and he knocks it down. He just knocks it far enough away to not be able to get the out. Like, you know what I mean? It was just so, the saying after that game from all the Gulls folks was, that's baseball. And it's true. And you say that and you see that and you feel that, but I was just like, man, like to kind of lose the lead and then ultimately the game and then ultimately the championship, that was just kind of mind blowing for me. So there's that in terms of a moment that stood out and which led to a series of moments, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then I think just seeing a bit of this was really a year for Saskatchewan in the league. Yeah. You get the Berries kind of run roughshod over the league in the regular season, you get a wild playoffs and Regina comes out on top, and it's like, hey, Alberta, Saskatchewan's still here, the East is still here, we're the champs this year. So good for Regina Red Sox for completing that what many thought was an unlikely mission there. And you talked about Okotoks, and we talked about Connor Crowson not loving the end of their season, but I think after 3 years of the Dogs winning that three-peat, there's a lot of people who just kind of feel like, okay, that's the natural order of things. This is just how things are going now. So I liked that it was a little bit, you just had some unpredictability about that postseason and even the regular season to a degree. So it's going to be great to see what happens next year. Okotoks isn't going away. I don't think Sylvan Lake's going away, and they've got more motivation than ever now. And the Berries as well are going to be highly motivated to deliver a championship.
Yeah, especially with a bunch of change coming up too, right? Like Saskatoon's going to be hosting the All-Star game this year as an example. Okotoks has got the brand new Morneau Cup from Baseball Canada that's going to be coming up during the summer as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces that way. When I look back as well, you mentioned the playoff and the unexpected turns and twists that happened. People tend to forget there was a moment in there in the East Division final where the Saskatoon Berries were on the brink, or pardon me, it wasn't the East Division final, it was the East Division semifinal. The Saskatoon Berries, wild game against Moose Jaw Miller Express, and Carter Beck's walk-off home run was just, you couldn't believe what you were watching in that moment because Saskatoon had jumped out to an early lead. Moose Jaw comes back, then they trade runs in the latter half of the game. It's wild, it's woolly, it's crazy, and then, I'm just going to hit a walk-off grand slam. Right, like it shades of Vladdy Guerrero Jr. there for sure. And again, to your point about every team being able to beat any other team, you think about the playoff races that were going on throughout all of this. Like the Sylvan Lake Okotoks Lethbridge brawl for first place through the latter half of the season, and none of those three teams really giving an inch throughout was fantastic to watch. And on the flip side, there was quite the race developing in the East for those teams that were trying to sneak into the playoffs there, because they all knew that all you needed to do was just get to the dance, and then you might get there, and Regina not only gets in there, but actually proves it and goes and wins it all. It was one of those years, again, I keep saying it, I feel like a broken record every year, but it seems to get tighter and tighter. That margin of error continues to get smaller and smaller, and so any team seems to be able to beat any other team on any given night, and it makes for some great baseball all summer long.
The playoffs the last 2 years in particular, but just the last few years have been top notch. So if you're not paying attention at the end of the season and into the playoffs, you really need to start watching.
Absolutely. And I mean, Ian, it was a great summer to watch ball. It's a great fall because we got some baseball that we got to watch. Your Mariners are in it. My Blue Jays are in it. Let's get back to watching that. We'll check in with you again throughout the course of the offseason as well. We've got some great stories that we're working on through the course of the offseason to get you set up for 2026. But again, thanks so much for reliving 2025 with us here on the show, Ian.
Thanks again so much for having me, Joe. Go Mariners, go Blue Jays. Hopefully we'll be able to see them go head-to-head, and we can friends off for a week or so at that point. But that's a series I'd love to see. It's really captivating right now, and and also some of the we'll probably talk about this down the road, but some of the WCBL alumni who appeared in the postseason, and the other Alberta talent that it comes on display this time of year. It's great to see it at the highest level possible.
Could not agree more. Thanks again, Ian, for joining us. And as we mentioned earlier in that conversation, Levi Abbott of the Lethbridge Bulls had an out-of-this-world 2025 and almost came away with 3 of the top awards. He led the league in ERA at 1.38 and wins with 7, while placing second in strikeouts with 69. He dominated the most outstanding pitcher votes, while also finishing second for most outstanding Canadian and most valuable player. The Vauxhall Academy alum was proud of the year he had, which included signing on with the Winnipeg Goldeyes, thanks to some help from fellow Lethbridge product and friend of the show, Landon Barassa. Levi, thanks for coming back here on the show.
Thank you.
Western Canadian Baseball League Pitcher of the Year, Levi Abbott. How does that sound?
It sounds pretty good. I can't say much other than that, but it's pretty cool. So soaking it in.
What went through your mind when you first heard that you were going to be winning the award?
What went through my mind? Well, it was kind of nice to end on a high note. First of all, like it was a good way to wrap up my summer, and it felt really good to get an award like that just because I haven't got something like that before. So that was really nice.
The numbers kind of speak for themselves, but from a feeling perspective, how did you feel about the year you had?
I mean, I obviously felt really good about it. Like I couldn't have asked for a better summer, just from playing to not playing. Just the whole summer was great. And then just kind of pitching the way I did and everything like that, and getting to see some old buddies and some good coaches was awesome. So it was a good year.
What was working for you?
Pretty much. So I developed a new slider. So that that was working very well. And I think I attribute a lot of the success this summer to that. And then also being able to just throw a changeup, mixing that in, because I've never been a changeup guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that also helped a ton. And then velo was up from what it was in the past summer, so that obviously helped too. But besides that, everything just felt good. Like I was in that pitcher flow state for the whole summer. So
You mentioned being able to pitch in Lethbridge, and I mean, this is your hometown. These are your hometown crowd as an example. You got Canada Day, whatever the case may be. What'd that mean to you to be able to pitch at home and also be able to pitch with some old buddies, like guys that you've known for a while? There's a lot of Lethbridge talent on that squad.
yeah, pitching. So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to come back to Lethbridge, was just playing in the hometown to end the season, or I guess summer ball career in general. And then also a couple guys. There's also a lot of Vauxhall connections, so getting to play with younger Vauxhall kids was pretty cool. So
Looking back on it, did you have any kind of pieces of advice for especially those young guys who are just sort of starting out on their summer collegiate careers? You know, I look at a guy like Brett Getz is just getting started as an example in that journey. Were you trying to impart some wisdom on some of those young guys too?
yeah, I would say so. From playing with those younger guys, they beat themselves up quite a bit. And I remember doing the same thing. And then when you kind of get to your later years, you realize it's really just about having fun. Like if you're not having fun and while you're playing, then you're not playing for, what might be the right reasons. So I would say that number one. Number two is, what I can relate to a lot is just going through a lot of injuries. And I know like injuries can be depressing and, tough to get over, but I know like my story kind of spoke for itself. I was injured my sophomore, junior, and senior year, like off and on, battling some different things head to toe. So like just trying to stick with it and just trust the process, because, those last years could be your best years. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Looking back on the summer do you have a favorite memory or moment that kind of sticks out to you?
Oh man, I gotta say, I don't think it comes close, but the one game throwing in Okotoks, that was probably the best, just because I haven't felt that dominant in a long time, and throwing 6 perfect and then getting pulled in the 7th was pretty cool. So that was definitely the highlight on the pitching side too. And I can't really think right now. It's been a long day, but yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of cool moments. So I would say that was definitely number one.
That's a good one for sure. A great game as well. You were also named starter for the West Division in the All-Star game. What did that mean to you looking back on it?
That was sweet. I didn't even know they were doing those All-Star games until I came to play in the WCBL this past summer, but that was pretty sweet. Like the turnout there at Okotoks was wild, and representing the team, and then obviously the division as a starting pitcher was pretty cool, and getting to be in the on the bench with guys from different teams in those divisions, and kind of seeing the top talent and meeting some of those guys was sweet. So
was it hard not to crack a smile as the standoff along the first base line and third base lines going on while you're trying to warm up as well?
No, that was hilarious. I like having fun. So I think there's a couple chirps flying, but it didn't really bother me. I thought that was pretty funny. So
it was funny watching from above, so I can only imagine what was being said at field level. And it's PG-13. We're trying to keep this show PG-13. So
right.
So looking back on it, not only did you have that outstanding season, but your performance earned you a contract with the Winnipeg Goldeyes to finish out the year. Right. Made a couple appearances there. What did that mean to you to be able to keep the dream alive to a certain extent, but also to keep your season going?
Yeah, that was special. I mean, I think everyone plays, a sport at a high level to just keep going. And, there was, reality kind of stuck in, near the end of my 5th year at Canisius, but like it didn't feel like I had the stuff, or maybe I wasn't good enough to like pitch in a league like that. But then outing after outing in the summer, I was kind of proving to myself that it might be possible. And then Landon really helped me get that contract, because he's a well-known guy in that league, in the American Association League and in Australia and stuff, and he stuck his neck out for me quite a bit and ended up hosting me in Winnipeg. So cheers to him for that. But yeah, it was awesome. Just kind of like getting those texts and, phone calls at the end, or what I thought was going to be the end, and then taking that next leap. So yeah.
Very cool. You and I were talking about it a little off air, but what's next for you? Obviously, you've graduated now. Do you have any big plans heading into the winter and maybe beyond?
Yeah. So yeah, like we discussed, I don't know truly yet. Moving to the West Coast, and there is training facilities there. Landing a job there, which was awesome. So I'm going to be doing that. And if one morning I wake up and I'm like, screw it, want to start training there, I think there'll be the potential for that. It's just, I don't know if I can fit into my schedule, and it just comes down to really how badly you want it, right? Like, I don't know if I am one of those guys. I love the sport, and I'm thankful for all the opportunities I got in the sport. But it'll just be a matter of time, right, to see if, I'm willing to go that extra mile to train and stuff like that. So it's going to be just, time will tell. So
It never hurts to take a little bit of a break too, and kind of reset
absolutely.
after what's been a crazy, wild, whatever you want to use for the term, last 5 years or so, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, final question for you here, Levi, and then we'll let you get back to it. When you look back on 2025 as a whole, how are you going to remember it?
It's a great question. I'm going to remember just being, one of the uncles or one of the grandpas of the team, or I guess the more common term is a dad, right? Like, you're an older guy, even though you're only 23. So on college, you don't feel that old, but playing with 18-year-olds in the summer, a lot of those guys being Vauxhall guys and being able to connect with them, that was something I'll definitely remember. And playing with a good college teammate of mine, Spinoza, and seeing how good he can flash the leather, and then again, like the coaching staff too. They're probably the three chillest, most, very high IQ baseball guys, but just like, they know the sport for what it is, and they like to have fun, and they kind of inject that energy into their players and teach them to have fun. And I think that's what summer ball is about. So, I mean, very general answer, but I would just say I'll look back on, this past summer is just having fun, like every day, shagging, BP, not pitching, giving advice to younger guys and talking to where guys have been and who they've played for and the experiences that they've been through and stuff like that. So just being able to, soak it in as my last year and connecting with a bunch of guys was pretty sweet.
Well, it was great to be able to connect with you one more time, and hopefully we get to do it again in the not-too-distant future here, Levi. Again, congratulations on being named the most outstanding pitcher of the 2025 WCBL season. Continued success wherever the journey takes you going forward, and again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Next up is Okotoks Dogs veteran Connor Crowson, who came away as the league's most outstanding Canadian. He hit .401 on the season with 3 homers, 45 RBI, and 7 steals in 47 games. And while he wasn't able to help the Dogs to their 4th straight WCBL championship, the Dogs Academy alum and current Texas Tech infielder was happy with his overall performance. Connor, thanks so much for joining us here on the show again.
Glad to be here again. Excited.
Western Canadian Baseball League most outstanding Canadian Connor Crowson. How does that sound?
It's pretty darn cool. I love it.
What went through your mind when you first heard about it?
Yeah, I got a text like a week ago. I was pretty fired up about it. Just being a young kid that used to watch the Dogs, obviously, and now being able to say that I'm the best Canadian in the league is pretty cool. With a bunch of good athletes in the league, a lot of guys that are also from Canada representing their town. So pretty fortunate and blessed.
It's been a crazy few years for you. We've talked to you a lot because of the different things you've done and been able to experience. Let's take a look back at this last year, particularly this past summer. You had some great, outstanding numbers on a personal level. What was working in your eyes?
Honestly, it was just sticking with what had worked at Montevallo. I took 2 weeks off and I couldn't really find my swing at the beginning of the year. Felt a little uncomfortable, but I was just like, trust it, that's part of baseball. And then to the middle of the year, I kind of started to go off, and then I just really stuck with it and trusted the work I've done at my old school. So really just doing that really helped me out.
You mentioned how many Canadians there are, and you're one of them. How cool is it to be, especially a kid who grew up selling 50-50s on the concourse with the dogs, but getting to see things come full circle and be that Canadian and be that guy that everybody can kind of turn to, not just as being the hometown guy, but, tour guide, et cetera, for maybe some of those new guys too.
Yeah, it's honestly very special. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. I love playing every single season there. It's a really good culture, and the Wick Bowl as a whole, being a Canadian league is really cool, especially with all the baseball coming in America where I'm at right now. And it's just awesome being able to be not a face, but an image for the Wick Bowl, and a lot of people would want to come up here and enjoy a great Canadian summer.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny to think about, but you and I were talking off air about the full circle aspect of things and getting to be that guy who's been around for a while and being the rookie to now being, a fifth-year college guy. How has the league changed even in the short time you've been a part of it? Have you noticed anything that's really kind of taken over the league over the last few years here?
I think the league's overall gotten way better. I mean, every single staff has guys throwing mid to high nines, and two guys throwing 90 miles an hour, even in the playoffs, facing the Sylvan guys. Everyone was throwing 93 miles an hour, which you didn't see back in when I was a rookie or sophomore or whatever. And I don't know, Levi Abbott coming back, shoving it up everyone's butt, all those guys. And then all the guys that I come up with playing against, Clearhout. And then they've all just gotten better overall as baseball players. And then I would just say the overall talent's gotten a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Looking at it from a team perspective, I know you guys were really gunning for that fourth championship in a row. Fell a little bit short, but from a wins perspective, from attendance perspective, all those things, when you look back on the summer, how would you personify the year that was for the Okotoks Dogs?
I thought it was a good year. I mean, honestly, I don't think it was obviously a good year, but it wasn't really a success. We wanted a championship. That's what we try and go every single year. And obviously, I wanted to win every single year of my career, but obviously we fell short. But I thought it was an okay year. Winning a championship puts the cherry on top.
For sure. What did it mean to you to have Big Bear back in the dugout again? Because it's been a while since you've been able to have Mitch Schmidt back.
Oh, it was awesome having his energy back, and just glad that he's healthy and doing his thing and what he loves. And it was awesome to have him in the dugout, keeping us under control and creating a spark for us.
Controlled chaos is what comes to mind when I think of Mitch Schmidt, but I can only imagine what it's like as a player.
Yeah, the controlled chaos is perfect. He loves throwing the bats out of the dugout.
Oh, that's awesome. A couple more for you, Connor, before we let you get back to your studies here. First off, when you look back on the summer that's been, do you have a favorite memory or moment that really stands out to you?
Favorite memory would probably be pitching again. I mean, I love still got a 0 ERA in the Wick Bowl. Just throwing that nasty 69-mile-an-hour changeup.
Final question for you here, Connor. When you look back on the summer of 2025 as a whole, how are you going to remember it?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I would probably just say a year of highs and lows, and honestly a punch to the gut when we were all hanging out at the end of the Sylvan game. All the coaches and the players were just hanging out, chilling, doing the year-end thing as we always do. And it was on the opposite side. It was honestly the worst feeling I've had in baseball. I hated it. We've always won, and I've never felt that before. Mm. And I think this next year is going to be, we're going to build a little super team. Joe, Lou, and Schmidt have all been recruiting, so I think we're going to build a little super team and bring a ring back to Okotoks in our final years with all me, Ricky, and a few seniors that are coming back.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask, too, about that is how much does that loss fuel the fire to a certain extent? Because it's one thing to go three championships in a row, but that loss had to have been something else. So how does that fuel the drive for a return to the glory years, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, we were all fired up. I can't wait for that first pitch in the next season. It just means more, especially losing to Sylvan, a rival, and they were thinking they had it all. They were going to win a championship, and then a lower team like Regina, obviously great ball club, but Sylvan's a powerhouse, and they come out and beat them. I mean, I love that stuff, being an underdog. And even though we went 3 out of 4. I think we had a great little dynasty there, but I want one more, and I think that's the goal in the Dogs program. So keep doing our thing, and I think we're going to be champions again.
Well, Connor, really appreciate the time as always. Congratulations on the Most Outstanding Canadian Award. Congratulations on an outstanding season. Best of luck at your new school. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
And we'll wrap things up with this year's most valuable player, Saskatoon Barrie star Ethan Menard, who hit a home run in the All-Star game to take home MVP honors there, and that was kind of emblematic of the season he had, hitting .392 with 12 homers, 39 RBI, and 10 stolen bases in just 35 games. The University of Texas at Tyler Slugger was named Player of the Week twice, including one stretch of games in late June where he hit 6 home runs in 3 contests. Ethan, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Western Canadian Baseball League MVP Ethan Menard. First off, how does that sound?
It sounds good. I'm very honored and just glad I could bring it to the Berries.
What went through your mind when you got that initial phone call or that email saying, hey, you've been chosen?
I was just happy and honored. The hard work got me and the guys put in all summer just happened to go a little bit better for me at times, and so I was just honored that I could be up there with all the other guys. I mean, it was tough waiting on all the votes to come in. I know Levi Abbott had an amazing summer. I mean, it was awesome to see the stats he was putting up, and then guys that were on our side of the league too doing great. And I was super honored to get a lot of votes and receive it.
It was quite the year for you, for the team as well. We'll get into that in a second. But first, let's start with the personal year. What was working in your eyes that allowed you to put up the numbers you did?
Just the confidence and belief that my teammates and coaches had around me. I had an all right summer the year, first year with the Berries, and coming in from a decent season with UT Tyler, and then going into summer and just kind of really meshing well with all the guys. I think it just put me in a place of comfort, but always still wanting to work and get better, because that's just the kind of mindset we had as a team, was never be satisfied with a good day. So just trying to stack good days on good days and make them great days was just the biggest thing.
Was there something different about this year? Like you mentioned the comfort level, but was there something that really stood out to you, or maybe a moment during the year that stood out to you that made you go, okay, this is turning into a really good year where I've stacked a lot of these good days up?
I mean, we would have a few jokes here and there, like Nathan Houston and Balin Sorensen would always crack jokes at me. And I would sarcastically joke about having a good summer and stuff, but I tried to stay away from it and more worried about the team stuff, just because we were also focused on trying to win the championship. And we came up a little short, but it was just more of the team's doing good and we're all happy about that, rather than really ever noticing it. If I had to pick one, I mean, the weekend in Med Hat and then having the 6 home runs in 3 days, I mean, that was a cool one, I guess, but it was just always trying to stay more team-focused than anything.
Well, let's stay team-focused for a second here. You set a league record for most regular season wins. Take us inside that dugout. How special is that group, first off? And beyond that is what felt right from a group perspective that allowed you to stack up those wins?
I mean, I don't think I've ever played the game of baseball with as good of a group of guys as we had this summer. I mean, hats off to Coach Joe and everybody else on that recruiting end doing what they did. It was probably the most fun I've ever had playing baseball in my life. Wins aside, good season aside, that group of guys is one of the most enjoyable groups I've ever been around. And I think that, along with hard-working plus talented guys, just stacked every day. And then the chemistry aspect of it. I mean, you don't win as many baseball games as we did without having that trust and belief in each other, aside from like the reality of, hey, we might not win this game. Well, instead of that, it's the, man, who's going to get the big hit today whenever we're down 3 in the first inning? All right, like, cool, we're still going to win the game. It's just about who's going to get the big hit at whatever point it may be. I mean, we were never out of any baseball game that we were playing in, and that was just one thing that really carried us the whole way, was the confidence and belief in one another because of that great chemistry we had built.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Coach Joe earlier. He is now the Coach of the Year across the WCBL as well. What does he bring to the table, and why is everyone seemingly so galvanized around him?
I mean, from the first time I talked to him on the phone 2 years ago, all the way to like now, I mean, he doesn't make himself seem as like he's your superior. It's Coach Joe's your friend, and he's gonna get on you when he needs to. But for the most part, it's just like getting guys to go out there, have fun, and have one common goal. And I think he does that better than almost any coach I've ever been around. He just gets a group of guys to really get behind one another and believe in what they got to do. Because, I mean, even our first year, we started off the season 0-7 and then ended up making a playoff berth. Like, we weren't nearly as talented as we were this second year, but I mean, what Coach Joe had us being able to do and make that playoff berth and make some noise and make a Eastern Conference final, like, it just speaks to the kind of guy he is on and off the field. I mean, he can get guys to just believe in stuff that they shouldn't be believing in. Like, we started off 0-7, and then all of a sudden we're thinking that we're going to end up winning it all. And we came up a little short, but, I mean, we all had that belief from long before we started stacking up wins that first season.
For sure. You've been on the ground level of starting up a brand new program now and 2 really successful years with Saskatoon. How cool has it been to be doing that, like building this brand out and being a part of what's now become sort of a real big piece to the WCBL puzzle from a community perspective, but also from a league perspective?
I mean, it's been more of an honor than anything. Getting to meet all these great people, like Steve Hildebrand, Joe Carnahan, like those 2 are going to be people that I go to for advice long into my future. I mean, they're some of the best mentors I've ever been around, and then being able to be a part of what they've started in Saskatoon and like the great things to come that are great things to come for the Berries. It's just been an honor, honestly. Mm-hmm. Getting to meet them and be around them and see what they're doing for it, and just being a small piece of that is awesome. How
fun is it playing in front of a jam-packed berry patch?
It's fun. They can get rowdy, and I mean, it was hard not to have fun whenever we were winning as many home games as we did last year, and it's exciting. It gets the blood flowing a little extra.
A couple more for you before we let you go, Ethan. First off, looking back on the summer that was, do you have a favorite memory or moment that really stands out to you?
It's hard to pick from them, but honestly, that game against Moose Jaw in the playoffs where Carter Beck hit the walk-off grand slam. I mean, there's really nothing that beats that or tops that. Seeing the way Carter works, and aside from the talent, the hard work that he puts in to come up in big moments like that, like he has the last 2 years, and just getting to witness that, it was awesome. I mean, you don't get many walk-off opportunities whenever you were up 10 at one point in the game. So it was fun to watch that and like be a part of that.
That was a wild game of wild games that I think I've never seen before and probably never will either. So that is definitely a good one. Final one for you, Ethan, here. When you look back on the summer of 2025 as a whole, how are you going to remember it?
Man, that's a good one. I mean, there's really nothing to go complaining about. Yeah, we didn't win it all, but I mean, I made friendships on that team that I'm never going to forget. I got to be a part of a history. However long that record may last, I'm part of it. It's just going to be summer to never forget.
Well, certainly was, and for sure, your name's now etched on it as MVP. Ethan, congratulations on all the success of this summer. Best of luck this coming season and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again to Ian Wilson, Levi Abbott, Connor Crowson, and Ethan Menard for joining us this week. And thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. Again, we're working on some special editions of the show in the weeks ahead, so make sure to hit subscribe on your podcast app so you don't miss a moment of the action. A massive tip of the cap, as always, to our Platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment, and the Western Canadian Baseball League for their continued generosity in helping us tell the game stories in our province. For more on our tremendous teammates or to join our roster, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.